So some monsters are out there. It's just a question of can the drivers hang on to them sufficiently well. We'll find out, won't we, as we get qualifying underway. It is there's 25 minutes to go in this session. So they've got plenty of time to get in those quick laps that they need to do. And I hope that they can end up with a decent grid position for the race, which will take place tomorrow afternoon.
And the big battles in period in the 2-litre sports cars was between the Chevrons and the Lolas, and we've got plenty of examples of both of those here this weekend.
Yeah, that's nice to see, isn't it? That two great British manufacturers providing us with some fantastic cars that will be rapid here. You can see how much the track is drying out, by the way. So we haven't had any rain for a little while now, and going from a very, very wet circuit, particularly when the Formula 1 cars were out there, and then it had to be red flagged. Now, thankfully, the track is getting that much drier. You've got a bit more than just one dry line as well. There's a bit of wider line now, thankfully. There's a bit of standing water in a few areas, but mostly that's offline. So if you're sensible and don't run too wide, hopefully there's a good chance of delivering well. John Sheldon in the Chevron B16, the red car, going through there. That's a glorious historical machine being followed on as well. So we'll just see how these guys get to put it all together.
And there's that monstrous Can-Am car, the orange car that just went through the picture there, which is Dean Forward in the car number 8, car owned by Jamie Thwaites, which Dean Forward prepares. And we've got one stopped, Ben.
Yeah, I think that is Jamie Thwaites, isn't it? That has
yes,
pulled over.
Jamie's running his Chevron B19.
Yeah, pulled over on the exit, or the exit of the pit lane, unfortunately. Yeah. So that's a bit of a shame. Presumably there's a problem with the car. Whether he's going to be able to get it up and running, I don't know. It's not a good place because there are no marshals particularly close there to help him out. So a tricky spot. Looking at number 96, Timothy De Silva, the Tadek Mark III. Timothy sharing the drive of this with Harindra, and they will combine their efforts, the American pairing, see what they can do with it in this race.
Tadek was actually built in Keighley in Yorkshire by Tommy Clapham and driven by the Frenchman Francois Migaud and Peter Hansen in the very, very competitive sports car championships that ran in Britain and internationally at the time. And a car just going through the picture there, the Chevron B8, the closed car. There's the big Can-Am McLaren of Dean Forward. That's the M8F, which is the last iteration of the M8, and that took the Can-Am Championship, driven by Peter Revson, the American driver, and Denny Hulme, first and second in the championship in 1971, and they really did dominate. It was the Denny and Peter show, I think it was called.
Okay, well, let's see how they go. Yes, there is the McLaren heading its way down, finding its way past the traffic. The monstrous power unit that it's got here. You can see the carburetor intakes behind the roll cage and behind the driver's head. That's where the engine sits and dominates, really, the car. Then you've got that massive rear wing providing you some downforce as well. And a wonderful growl from that the V8 engine as he begins to accelerate. A lot of cars around though still. He's got to find a bit of clear space to start putting together a clear lap. Dean Forward likely to do that. 117 there, that's Neil Merry in the Chevrolet Corvette. So another American car, but a very different style, very different performance level. It does have a big engine. It's a 7.4 litre engine from 1973. And then here we are, something completely different again. That's Ross Hyatt in a Lola, yeah, actually that's
not the same car as in the programme, is it?
No, that looks like a Sports 2000 car, doesn't it? It's not the Lola T70 that is in the programme. George Douglas in number 26 car, the Martin BM9, 1971 machine, 2-litre engine.
BM standing for the manufacturer of that car, Brian Martin. George Douglas has been racing that car for years. And always comes out for these events.
Good to see, and especially after all the difficulties of the last 18 months, it's lovely to see so many cars out here, I have to say. Fastest lap so far has been set by John Spears in the Osella PA3 1975 car, but the McLaren, there he is, he's gone 4th so far. As we saw, Dean has been having to fight his way through traffic, so that's been a little bit of a challenge for him.
Yes, he's got a reasonably clear track now.
Yeah, he has, so he should be able to put together a decent lap. Callum Lockie looks as though he's gone fastest at the moment in the March 717, car number 3, which is very much a competitor with that McLaren. Has that big engine. It's a slightly older car, but it is a big competitor with that.
Yeah, he was mired in a lot of traffic at the end of that lap as he came past us at Abbey. So I don't think this particular lap for Callum Lockie and Richard Dodkins will be particularly quick, whereas Dean Forward, I can see now on screen, still has a relatively clear track, and he's coming through Woodcote Corner. So he'll now go past the old pits up towards Copse. Looks like he's got John Emberson in front of him. He's going through Copse now, and then the run up to Beckett's over the rise. Great camera shot as they go over the hill there and into Maggots and then Beckett's, just throwing up a little bit of spray.
There's certainly a lot less spray now, isn't there? It's good to see the track is drying up considerably compared to what we saw earlier on, and the lap times are gradually coming down. We've got 18.5 minutes still to go in this session, so I think we're going to see some big changes. The size difference between some of these cars is massive, isn't it?
It is, yes, and the March is actually bigger than the McLaren if you put them together. Not much, but it's a bit bigger. Dean Forward going through Stowe Corner now, so not long to go in this lap, and he's had a relatively clear run. He's done some lapping, but that's been done on the straights. Now he turns into Club Corner, and we'll wait and see whether he can get the provisional pole back from the Dodkins Lockie March as he crosses the line, and he does go fastest.
Good lap, so 2:20. That put in 0.157 seconds ahead of the Dodkins Lockie car, but actually that is on a good lap as well. They've just done a good middle sector, so we could see an improvement. Moving up into 3rd place, Sinclair has moved up into 3rd place in car number 85, but Callum Lockie has gone better again. He's gone fastest in the number 3 car on a 120.604, just 0.035 faster than Dean Forward. How close is that? So 35 thousandths of a second at the moment between these two monster Can-Am cars of Callum Lockie and Dean Forward. That is very impressive. They're in a different class to everyone else. They're 5 seconds ahead of the next fastest car.
It's a bit like George Foreman and Muhammad Ali in the ring, isn't it? These two are battling it out, the heavyweights, and just 35 thousandths between them.
Yeah, that is a tiny margin. I think we're going to see some improving lap times from both of them going into this. 4th place at the moment is the number 14 car of John Spears, the Osella. Oh, I know he's just moved up to 3rd, so that was a good lap. We're looking at the number 3 car at the moment. That's Richard Dodkins' Callum Lockie car. So that is the car that is currently fastest, and you can see the March 717. It's not quite the sort of angry attitude that the McLaren Can-Am car has got, but it is still a very, very impressive machine. And they're putting together some good laps here. Another fast first sector there, purple in the first sector. So there could be an opportunity to pick up some pace and go even quicker.
And the carburettor trumpets on that car are even taller than the McLaren, aren't they? They're sticking up there behind the driver, coming up to lap 1 of the 2-litre cars as he comes through Stowe Corner.
and he has improved that second sector too, so there is a chance to further open up the gap over Dean Forward. It is only 0.035 of a second at the moment, but there's a little bit of traffic here. As long as he can deal with that, it's not ideal to catch traffic coming out the last corner. Now's where he gets onto the power, and across the line he goes, and yeah, it is a better lap nonetheless. It wasn't his best final sector with the traffic, but nonetheless, he's done a 2-minute 18.5, so that's put him 2 seconds now faster than Dean Forward.
And an improvement there came up on our graphic there for Greg Caton, up into 7th place, car number 36.
Callum Lockie's had a couple of wins already so far this year here at Silverstone back in May. Took victory in the March 717, beating Dean Forward in both races actually, so he had the advantage. They had some good battles, so we'll see whether he's going to be able to continue that. John Spears we're looking at now, car number 14, now 3rd fastest in that machine. The Osella, unusual looking car, isn't it, but it's obviously very effective.
Yes, an Italian manufactured car, the Osella, in Italy, Enzo Osella. Very successful in hill climbing in Europe as well, in various categories.
Coming back in the pits now, so he's not going to put together a particularly quick lap, obviously. He's decided to bring it back in at this stage. What else we've got going well at this point? We were talking to Michael Lyons, weren't we, just before the start of this session. Their car not showing much at the moment. I don't know whether Michael's actually been in the car yet. They haven't really done a representative lap time yet, so I hope they haven't got a problem with their Pontiac Trans Am, but they certainly haven't done a particularly quick lap as yet. Looking at number 96 here now. That is the Timothy and Harindra de Silva Tadek Mark III. But Dean Forward has just gone forward. He's taken top spot again. He's gone ahead of Callum Lockie. So he's gone faster once again by 2.0 seconds. And that's given him the advantage. Spears is in the pits at the moment. We're seeing a few driver changes going on with 12 and a half, just over 12 and a half minutes still to go in qualifying for this race.
Callum Lockie improved that time around, but and he's closed the gap on Dean Forward. And I think we're seeing here, Ben, that the track is definitely, I won't say dry because it's just horribly wet underfoot, but the line is becoming drier, and they're getting more confidence to push the brake pedal a little bit harder and a little bit later into each corner. And that means that Callum Lockie has closed the gap to around a second.
Good stuff.
Half a second, my apologies, half a second to Callum Lockie. Sorry, Callum, half a second now closer. Yeah,
very impressive. Nice close performance between these two Can-Am cars. And Dean Forward will continue to try and improve on that over the next lap or two. So, Dean Forward leading the way from the Dodkins Lockie machine. Spears in 3rd, Sinclair 4th, Burton is in 5th place. That's the number 60 car of John Burton. Has done some 50 years of racing in his time in a Chevron B26.
78 years old now, John.
Amazing. And we found the extra entry that we were looking for. So number 85, Neil Sinclair in a Lola T292. Okay, that's good. We were wondering which of the Sinclairs that was. And he is 4th quickest, so he's done a good job there. As we're watching Callum Lockie once again in the number 3, and he's on target. He's on target to retake that pole position. Let's see whether he can actually do it or not. He was faster in the 1st sector. Middle sector, not fastest, but only a couple of tenths down on what Dean Forward did on his best sector. And we do know that this final sector can be absolutely crucial out these last couple of corners. Is it good enough? Yes. They go back to the top spot. So a 1 of 15.279, 1.2 seconds quicker than Dean Forward, and the continuing battle between these two powerful Can-Am cars does continue, with Spears, Sinclair, Burton all chasing after them, but in a rather different battle. The gap now between second and third places is pretty big, around 8 seconds. So yeah, it's a big old gap there. So there is our man who's now back in second place and chasing after the new frontman.
It's an interesting battle, this, because we normally talk about a 10th here and a 10th there, but they're taking chunks out of each other, aren't they, as the track improves.
It is nice to see the track improving, and I have to say, although there's still the odd damp patch on the inside line on some of the straights, generally it's looking a lot better now than it was earlier on, and hopefully people are not having to use umbrellas all the time. Seeing a few people wandering around, enjoying. It's a bit breezy out there, but still enjoying themselves and having some fun, which is good to see. Lovely mix of machinery in this competition, and there'll be some great battles further down the order between Chevrons and Lolas, and in those Sports 2000 cars as well. Right now we're still keeping an eye on the battle at the top end though, because who is it going to be on pole position? Still Callum Lockie is the one that's looking fast in the first sector once again. But we're watching Dean Forward in the McLaren, the M8F 1972, in that very distinctive orange colouring. And of course we're seeing McLaren in a sort of orange colouring a bit more nowadays again. Sliding in out of the last corner. Yeah, I'm not sure this lap's going to be anywhere near good enough. No, it's 2 minute 19.5. That's some way off the best so far. Maybe he can attack on the next one. So there's our 5th place man, number 21. And there's a few more still to set quick lap times in this session. Robert Parker in the number 21 car. It's another additional entry, in fact, that one, for the original list in the Acela. And he's going well at this stage, no doubt about it. 5th place, but just nipping through there, car number 10, that's Nick Pink in the Lola T210. Currently a bit further down the order in that car. 8th place, Nick Pink, not bad. And actually 9th, he's just been pushed down by one. That was 36 that's moved up ahead of him. Definitely been a few changes to the entry list on this in this particular championship, so we will try and update ourselves a little bit more as we go into tomorrow, work out who's in which car. But Nick Pink there, currently in 9th place in car number 10, that Lola, which is running extremely well at this stage. Out in front though, it's still the Dodkins Lockie car with just under 7 minutes to go. The sunshine now beginning to shine through the windows in our commentary box here, and that means the track is definitely getting a little bit easier for everybody. They can begin to get on the power earlier, brake later, chuck the cars around a bit more without the risk of them slithering off the side of the circuit as we've seen earlier on today. Number 52 we're looking at right now, that's Andrew Storer in a Chevron B52. So that's a car from 1980, 2-litre engine, and Andrew just stringing together a few laps here, a little bit further down the order. Dean Forward doing a good middle sector, by the way. 2:16 he's just done, 2:16.4, still not good enough to take pole, unfortunately for him. So it's still the Callum Lockie car up front, and there's a fun machine, isn't it? The number 82 car. That is certainly looking quite entertaining. That's Michael Lyons. I think Michael Lyons is in that car now. We saw that they hadn't really done anything earlier, so let's just see whether Michael, who was so quick in the historic Formula 1 cars earlier on today, let's see what he can do if he is in that car now. I think he probably is. That is the Pontiac Trans Am 5.7 litre 1984 car. Of course, it doesn't have any downforce really. It's not going to be anywhere near as quick as a lot of the cars that are out there, but it is going to be quick in a straight line.
Yeah, and it's very heavy as well compared to the little sports cars. So yeah, he's looks like he's wrestling that, I think would be the right description. Seemed to be a lot of steering input to try and get it to go through the corners.
He has jumped up from where he was, though. He was quite a way down the back. Now he's up to 16th.
Yeah.
So it's a bit more in the middle of the field now. When as you say, when he's up against some really small, rapid little sports cars, that's going to be quite a challenge. The main thing is trying to spot them in his mirrors, I think.
Yes.
So
that's the Martin of George Douglas, the BM9 Martin, coming across another, as I mentioned earlier, another long-time supporter of this class of racing, as we look once more at Dean Forward in the McLaren M8F, which is currently sitting second in the times with 4.5 minutes to go in the session. Makes his way past the Tay deck, down onto the hangar straight.
yeah, time running out. See whether he can do anything. But I think we're going to be in for a good race between these two monsters at the start of certainly from the beginning of this one. Just depends who gets the advantage. There's a bit of an improvement up there for the number 6 car that has popped up. That's the John... no, let's have a look actually. It's not the number 6 car, sorry, my mistake. The number 19 car, I believe it is, that has just nipped up there. Chris Porras and Edward Thurston in their Chevron B19. They've gained a few places as well. Neil Sinclair's now been pushed down to 5th position. Dean Forward has come back in the pits now, and I wonder whether he will do any more laps with 3.5 minutes remaining. There's our man who's on provisional pole then. It's the Dodkins Lockheed car, the March, which has been working very, very effectively indeed. Whether they can get any more out of it, well, let's wait and see. Number 12, Jamie Thwaites in his Chevron B19 has moved up into 4th position now.
That was the car that stopped in the exit of the pits earlier on, wasn't it? So obviously
right.
He got that car going again. Good news.
Yeah,
Jamie also owns the McLaren that Dean Forward is driving.
Ah, well, he'll be happy then. See his man up there. Sinclair's just got past the weight, so just gained a little bit of lap time over him. Very small amount, but it works well. And the sunshine definitely drying the track off and giving everybody that chance to just find a little bit more time here and there and everywhere. Move a little bit more, so you use them curbs a bit more than they were initially. This number 19 machine looking a little bit lively. That's the Chris Porras Edward Thurston Chevron B19. Currently 6th fastest, but as you can see, dancing around over the curbs, getting some downforce from that bodywork shape as it comes down in towards Stowe Corner. Oh, he under brakes. It's a little bit wobbly under brakes. You can see the disruption there, but it's being pushed hard. That's part of it. Braking as late as possible. You get that little bit of unevenness. It does look a bit quirky, I have to say. Doesn't look like the most stable car in the world, particularly on brakes and corner entry. It looks reasonably good on the exit of the corner. Just a little bit lively, and it's a good lap. Look, they've gone 3rd. With that lap, that was quite a lap. You could see pushing really, really hard there. So a long way off the 2 Can-Am cars, but best of the rest. And that's a really important position to be in. And they've only taken it by a few tenths of a second.
And that's one of the 2-litre class cars, so much less horsepower and CC than the bigger McLaren and the March.
This is the Royale RP617, 1973 car. It has an 1840cc engine. It's Gwen Pollard and Rob Wainwright who are sharing this car, and that's looking pretty handy as well. Currently in 4th place, but can they now find a bit more pace? Chevron versus Royale, 2 classic names of British motorsport. Royale, of course, famous for their Formula Fords throughout that period as well. But this is proving to be a competitive machine, and in that best of the rest battle, currently sitting 2nd to the Porras Thurston machine. Oh, Sinclair actually has just popped up there. So Neil Sinclair in his Lola T292 has popped up into third, so that's now best of the rest, and it was by 0.3 of a second that he's taken that spot away from Porritt and Thurston. Up front, still no change. It looks like it's going to be the Richard Dodkins, Callum Lockie car that is going to start from pole, because we're in the 10-second countdown to the checkered flag now. And I don't think, well, Dean Forward is still in the pits. He came in a few minutes ago, hasn't gone back out, so Forward is not going to improve. He's really the only threat they could possibly have in this grid lineup. We've got two cars that are exceptionally fast up front, but then we've got some great battles behind. So who's going to end up third? Across the line, oh, Pollard and Wainwright, they are fifth. So it doesn't look as though they're going to steal that position away from Sinclair. There is a possibility that the number 19 Porritt Thurston car might just be able to snatch second place back. The Chevron B19, there it is. Let's keep an eye on this, because has he gone? Yes, he's done it. Look, he's gone third. Well, that's best of the rest. And look at the delight that has created, Alistair. It's lovely.
Oh, that's great to see, isn't it? That's a driver who's really happy with his efforts, and he'll have a timer in the car, and he may well also have his pit board out there as well. But he knew that he'd set a really good time, and congratulating himself, and quite rightly so.
Yeah, that was good effort. And I tell you what, we've got we've got several battles that are likely in this race, but we've got two very distinct battles from the start. We've got the two up front, which were separated in the end by 1.3 seconds, but there isn't, particularly if it's dry, I think it's going to be very close between them. Now actually that's being listed as Tony Sinclair in the number 85 car. That's interesting. So Tony Sinclair, I know, who's raced sports cars for many years.
Okay.
Whether it is Tony rather than Neil, but Tony Sinclair, fourth place. That is impressive. He's very much a part of that next group. They're all very close in that little group, aren't they? Porritt Thurston car, Sinclair, then the Pollard Wainwright, Thwaites is right in the mix. And Michael Lyon, I hadn't realised he moved up to 7th.
I just spotted that.
Oh no, he's just gone up to 4th.
Yeah, I mean, amazing in that big heavy Trans Am.
My goodness, in the Pontiac, he's gone up to 4th. So suddenly he's split that little group of cars. We're going to be in for a fascinating race tomorrow. Looking forward to that, with very different styles of cars racing against each other. And that is going to be very entertaining, I believe.
Oh, that's an outstanding performance from Michael Lyons, isn't it? Because
he's on it today, isn't he?
Absolutely.
The pace he had in the Formula One car earlier, and then he's able to step out of a car with downforce and all this grip and into the Pontiac Trans Am, which is a big heavy lump. You have to brake so much earlier in a car like that than in a Formula One car, and yet he adapts, doesn't he, so quickly. Amazing.